Raw winds hailed lacerating ice, stinging earlobes and ruddy cheeks beneath the climber's black snow goggles. The storm had an undergrowl that suggested it was both alive and malevolent. It came out of nowhere, as polar storms do, the clockwise rotation of Pacific highs meeting counterclockwise Siberian lows, fusing to form a cyclone in ancient cauldrons of granite and glacier. Mountains the size of Denali virtually produce their own weather. Alison Metcalf descended the headwall below the summit, clipped to a fixed line, testing the ice with crampons on the toes of her boots. The well-trod western approach was quickly vanishing under their feet, transmuting into an alien environment of wind-sculpted ice. She took another step, and then another, trying to quell the rise of panic. Only 3 hours ago they had stood on top of the Western Hemisphere. Now they were in a race for their lives to get beneath it. The spatial world was no more. There were no more ups and downs, no rights or lefts. One could reach out an arm and not see the glove beyond the wrist. If any of the climbers were to unclip from the fixed line, even for a moment, it was doubtful they would find it again. More likely, they would wander off the side of the mountain or fall into one of the hundreds of bottomless crevices of prehistoric ice. "You okay?" Sergio's voice caught faintly on the wind. He was below her, but still close, only a dozen feet away. Was he straggling to look out for her? "Okay," she yelled, but the words evaporated with a blast of chilled air. She tugged gently on the line tethered between them, and a moment later she felt his acknowledgement. It felt good, this tangible connection to another human being. If they could at least descend to high camp at 17,000 feet, they might survive the night in the uppermost cradle of the summit. The poor buggers above Archdeacon's Tower had yet to negotiate an exposed knife-edged ridge. They would not be so lucky, would not last an hour when the sun dropped below the horizon and wind chills plummeted below -60 degrees. Alison could not imagine a night of terror in sub-zero hurricane winds, tethered to 4 other people in the open, any of whom might panic and make an error fatal for all of them. Alison had met only 2 of the other climbers from the teams still up at the summit, both of them women from British Columbia. They'd shared stories of climbs in the Canadian Rockies and a stove for soup this morning as the sun began to rise. One of them was also named Alison. They'd laughed about the chances of that, but now she found that other woman's face etched upon her mind, could not dispel it. Suddenly Alison's feet went out from under her, and she began to backslide, frantically grabbing for the ice axe on her belt. Just before she went head over heels, she wielded the axe two-handed, driving its pick into the side of the mountain to break her fall. She hung there a moment on her side, both arms extended, hanging onto the handle, but then the axe let loose, and she began to spiral away, chin raking the ice-sheathed granite until her boots struck something solid. She tried to blink away the snow that covered her eyes, to see through the hail of white wind, and there was Sergio's purple snowsuit. He wrapped his arms around her waist and put his face to hers, and it was cold. "You okay?" She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Her mouth was filling with warm blood, her eyes welling with tears. He helped her to stand, neither able to see the other's expression through the dark lenses of their goggles. She put a gloved hand over his heart and held it there, and he nodded. Then he gave her his ice axe, turned and pointed down and grabbed the line, descending into the whiteout. Alison nodded as he disappeared. There was no time to reflect. But Alison did reflect. She had spent last night in Sergio's sleeping bag. It was the first and only time since they had met, 8 days before in the village of Talkeetna, where solo climbers came to buddy up with summiting teams, that he had even spoken more than a dozen words to her. Alison thought him arrogant at first, one of those handsome playboy types with infinite time and money on his hands. She had even goaded him about it on the mountain, trying to provoke a reaction, until, in an unguarded moment in their tent, she saw an unmistakable look of despair on his face. It was then she realized there was more to Sergio than met the eye. He hadn't come to Denali to conquer the mountain. He had come here to run away. But from what? A lost love? A failed marriage? Some deep, incomprehensible disappointment in his life? They never got to talk about it, and perhaps, she thought, they never would. She remembered his lips pressed to the side of her neck in the cocoon of that sleeping bag last night. He had actually cried after they made love. He did not want to leave the mountain, he'd told her. His warm tears had been wet on her neck. He'd told her he did not want to return to who he was.